Hi, thanks for listening in. Today I have another fascinating guest. I think most of my guests are fascinating, but Maryam is on a different level. So she has kind of spent 25 years guiding people through spiritual and emotional healing. She is a medium, she's a spiritual teacher, she's a pet psychic. She's had insights about ET communications, extraterrestrial. She's helped individuals kind of process these extraterrestrial encounters and bridging the gap between the human and higher vibration beings. She also talks about her 5-step consciousness, meditation, yoga, plant-based eating, therapy, and exercise. And it's her way to connect with her true self beyond the physical body. I just love people like Maryam that are living their authentic selves. They're sharing their gift with the world and helping people. And that's definitely what Maryam is doing. So she's had experiences with paranormal investigations and rescuing and communicating with animals, which I love. She supports a lot of people that's had mental health issues, which I think says a lot about her. She talks about how she empowers people to access their inner wisdom rather than being dependent on a teacher or a psychic. And she was just very warm and open. And I loved her vibe and I loved her energy. And after we shut down the podcast or we ended the filming, she asked me if there was anything bothering me or if there's anything I wanted to know. And I gave her, I'm like, oh, sure. And I told her something and she gave me an answer. And, I felt good about it. I left our interview just feeling so positive, and her vibe is so positive. And I'm excited for you to hear Maryam's interview and just to get to know her. And, you'll have her information in the description of this podcast or video, and you can reach out to her if you want to talk more or if you need her help, because I think she's amazing. So enjoy the show and please leave a comment and let me know what you think about my interview with Maryam. Thanks so much. Hi, thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I have Maryam Faresh on our show today. She is a renowned medium and spiritual teacher. She has had a loyal following for over 25 years. She is also a pet psychic, and she's assisted in tracking and communicating with lost animals and rescuing special needs animals. She has such a huge amount of things I can't wait to ask her, and welcome to the show. So we'll get started.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you have done so much in your life based on what I have read about you and done research with you online. You have done stuff around with as a psychic, a medium. You've worked with pets. You have worked with ET communications and abductions. You've done so much. What is your favorite thing of all the things that you have done? Which one, if you had to pick one, what would it be? That's the thing that you thrive on the most.
Honestly, probably ET communication. I would say ET communication is tied with working with Nurse Meg and doing medical mysteries. I think those two are my favorite.
Can you tell me what the ET communication means? Or tell my listeners what it means? Because I've looked it up already.
Yeah, sure. So I speak with different alien or ET families. And I help people who have experienced abductions. I help people who have repeated visits, not necessarily abductions. And I have a show right now on YouTube called Ask the Aliens that I just started. And I channel a different group each time we go live, and the audience gets to ask questions. It's really just about bridging this gap between, they are out there and we are here, and somehow there's this massive separation. I mean, kind of similar to what humans experience amongst themselves is we all come from the same place. Even if we look different and do things a little bit differently, we all come from the same place.
So do you think that we will ever know as a society, will they ever expose themselves and say, hey, we're here?
Yeah. So, okay. So I want to kind of clear up some misconceptions. A lot of people talk about how they're going to be showing themselves, they're going to be landing, they're going to be doing all this stuff. So there's, just like with human beings, we have multiple levels. We have lower level vibrations, mid and high vibration. The low level to mid level vibrations have no problem coming onto our planet. Our planet is very toxic to higher vibration beings. So we don't want an influx of the lower vibration consuming our planet. We need support more than we need that. So the higher vibration ETs exist to assist, just like a spirit guide, or just like any sort of being that we would use as communication. They're there to say, hey, call on us. We've been there. How do we help you raise your vibration as a planet?
And so what does it mean when you tell people you can help them kind of see themselves through their spiritual lens?
So when we look at ourselves as spiritual beings first, okay, so what I say is, okay, you have your body, right? Now, next to your body, just for the sake of conversation, it's not true, but for the sake of conversation, next to your body sits your consciousness. Okay, so the consciousness is what lives on when the body dies. And the consciousness carries all of your lifetimes, your DNA, everything about that. Your consciousness is you. It's you. Okay, it's not your arms, your legs. It's not your torso. Your consciousness is you. And that is what survives. That's what lives. That's what thrives. That's who you are. When that consciousness enters body, by design, we forget who we are as these conscious beings. That's by design. So your entire lifetime is about remembering who you are as that consciousness. So every experience we have, every struggle, every pushback, every trauma is there to get you closer to remembering who you are as a spiritual being first before you entered this body. When we start to understand who we are as spiritual beings first, minus the body, everything changes. And there's no secret to that. I teach the 5 steps to consciousness. There's nothing to do other than share what that is with you. It's not a book. It's not something you pay me for. You take those 5 steps and you just go, because this takes a lifetime to learn.
Yeah. And where would somebody find those steps if they wanted to? Can they find it on your YouTube channel or?
I mean, yeah, I can tell you right now, and it's on all my channels. So yoga on a regular basis, daily meditation practice, non-negotiable, moving to a plant-based diet slowly, and I can talk about why that's important, therapy when we need it, and physical exercise. So physical exercise is the body has to be strong enough to hold this new awareness. Meditation is non-negotiable because that's the only way to connect with your consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Like how else are you going to connect with something outside the body, right? Yoga is because we store emotion, trauma, memory in the body. And yoga allows us to release it without having to necessarily analyze it. Therapy, when we need it, we get that, right? We know why we need therapy. That's the emotional body. And then the diet is essential because certain foods hold energy versus allowing energy to move through the body. We want energy to run through and to flow through the body. Certain foods will hold on to that. Meats, sugars, caffeines will actually take the energy and turn it almost to like a lightning bolt type thing. So I'm not saying be perfect. Don't get me wrong. I love my sugars and chocolates and such. And you want to move to a plant-based diet, slow and controlled. But that's ultimately where we want to be.
And how did you when did you realize you had these gifts? I feel like they're gifts. Or does everybody have it and you just know how to use them?
Yeah, so I like to call them skill sets, psychic skill sets, right? So just like we're all born with some sort of talent. Someone's good with numbers, someone's good with basketball. Yeah. We all have psychic skill sets. So I don't know it. I don't know a time when I didn't have it or utilize it. So I don't know what it's like to not use them or have them. But for me, so for some of us, we come into body with a more heightened than others. That's all. But it's there, right? It's just like you can hand someone a basketball and they turn into Kobe Bryant overnight. You can hand me a basketball. I can learn how to play basketball, but I'm only going to get so far in this life.
Yeah.
Depending on how hard I work. If I wanted to, I could master basketball.
And you're a spiritual teacher, so are you helping people? Like, I don't want to say it's a life coach, but are you helping people kind of understand like what they're here for and what their purpose is? Is that kind of what a spiritual teacher is?
Yes. So for me, I combine it with my psychic skill set. So I will, like for you, if you have a question for me, I would hear the question and then my skill set takes me deeper beyond the question. So, so you might ask me, when am I going to meet someone? And I will most likely go off, to the left and say, let's talk about why you're still looking or why you haven't or why you're whatever that is. That's just an example. So that's where my teachings began to develop. I realized when I was reading, I wasn't just doing, you're going to have this and that, and like, which is awesome that psychics can do that. So that was never my thing. I didn't read like that. I just would go so deep, and then people would be like, I still want to know when I'm going to get that job.
So I wanted to also just kind of ask you about, you're talking about feeding spirit first by, we did the 5 steps, but you've worked with people that have really struggled with mental health and multiple personalities. That's got to be so fulfilling to you to be able to kind of help these people that have these kind of mental health issues. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that doing that work is, obviously doing all of the work is fun and very fulfilling. I think what's more fulfilling is when I have people, honestly, that come back to me and say, I've been doing the work for so long now, and look at, my life has changed. Not because of anything I said or did, but because they just applied the work. And their life changed because of it. And for me, that's a lot more fulfilling because it's not about me and it's not about what I say. It's about inspiring you to see something that already lives in you and you finding the courage to do the work that's so hard to do.
Yeah. So do you kind of work with people throughout their life if they're asked if they need it? Are you kind of meeting with them on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis sometimes if that's kind of what they need to make themselves better?
For me, what makes my work a little different is I really don't allow my clients to see me regularly because I don't want to be a crutch for them. They have to go out and navigate life and then come back. So once a month, twice a month at the most, I'll see somebody. But usually it's once a month to once every 3 months, once every 6 months. Really just, and I don't want to use the word forcing, but helping them really pursue independence and learning their own inner voice, learning their own psychic skill sets with me as a guide, but not as someone that they turn to say, well, what do I do now? What does this look like now?
So do you think everybody has the ability to do this, but just have to learn how to do it? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so because we're consciousness, because we're magical spiritual beings first, it almost sounds ridiculous to think we don't have that ability. Everybody's had a moment where they had that gut feeling where they just knew. Whether it was just one moment in time, everybody's had a dream that came true. Everyone's, meaning like, when we go to sleep at night and we wake up and we're like, oh my God, that just happened. Everyone has had that happen, and that's not an accident.
Yeah. I took a medium class, and I'm taking a psychic class with a guy named Michael Mayo now. And he's like completely changed the way I think about the world and what happens when you die and just everything. It was so eye-opening.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I know what happens and we're probably on the same page about when you die, what happens to you. Can you kind of tell me, like, when your experience, what happens when the person dies?
So if this is kind of walking into paranormal territory also when I do the paranormal work, which I try to really bridge that gap between paranormal and spirituality because there's no difference, but it's two very different communities. But when it depends, everybody is different, but one thing is the same. We will the consciousness lifts up, and for a lot of people, they've actually seen the spirit, right, leave through the top of the head. But now where we go through different layers and holding patterns, and I call them like classrooms. Most of the time what happens if we pass young early on, we tend to stay close to earth to support those that are grieving. Animals definitely tend to pass and stay very close until they find that there's some strength within that parent's position to move forward without them. And so they're kind of in between, not stuck, just choosing to be in between.
Yeah.
Once they feel like it's time for them to move to the next step, a lot of times I have seen they go into different rooms where there's kind of a touch base, if you will, of what has been learned, what still needs to be learned. Do we want to go back? Do we want to stay? What does this all look like? Yes, you have, animals and humans there to greet you. You have your guides there to greet you. And yes, it is a profound sense of love, using the term love that in a way that we genuinely don't yet know. Meaning, we come from a pool of love, not just I love that person and not that person, but a love that is large enough to shift the consciousness and move us out of that judgmental head brain and into our ethereal conscious sense of self.
Yeah. I am friends and interviewed a guy who's a pet psychic. And he said that basically so I have cats, I have 3 cats, and rescued them all. And he said that, and we had our 2 cats for 21 and 22 years when they died during COVID. And so whenever we ended up getting 2 more cats, because we just couldn't live without them in our house, he said basically what he told me is that one of my other cats came back and basically is communicating with one of my current cats to kind of let them know how to live with us.
Oh,
do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I see that all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so cute.
And you worked with the guy on the Discovery Channel or A&E, the cat from Hell guy. Did you work with him?
Yeah, so Jackson Galaxy came over this was years ago, for one of our cats. And then we worked with Cesar Millan too. We had a blind and deaf puppy, Daisy, and he came and assisted with her. So their work is, both of them, they work from a very intuitive and logical space.
Yeah. And you wrote a book about Daisy as well, right? Mm-hmm. That's very nice.
Yeah, she passed a few years back, and also during COVID. How hard was that, man? Losing pets during COVID? It was horrible.
And the other thing is, we went to another cat, and they're like, sorry, there's no cats available. Then we thought about getting a dog because everybody was working from home. So they were going into the shelters or getting there was no animals available. And I'm like, this is crazy.
I mean, I wish, isn't it? Don't you want to go why is it different now? What happened?
I know.
But I don't want to be the pessimist, but it's humans move to such a selfish space where they're like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. And then when life opens up again, they're like, well, I'm too busy now for this. And
yeah, I agree.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah. Not to get too into cat conversation, but we had a cat that was coming to our back door and we were feeding it. And then it started to become winter here in Boston. I'm like, I can't leave him out. So I took him to the vet and got him tested. He ended up being a Russian blue cat, which they said is a very expensive cat.
No kidding, I know.
And he was completely healthy. And basically the vet said if you didn't get him, he probably would have died because he was 6 months old.
Wow.
Something would have gotten him or he would have probably froze to death or something. And so she's just like, you saved this cat's life. And it made me feel so good. Anyway, I could talk about him all day long. So.
What's his name?
Charlie.
Oh my gosh, Charlie is so cute.
So when somebody comes to you and they're like, what's going to happen in my life? And I'm sure you get that all the time. Who am I? And I have a friend, a really good friend who has not been in a relationship for over 10 years. And she's like, now that I've taken a psychic class and medium class, she's like, can you tell me what's going to happen? I'm like, it doesn't work that way for me because I'm not there yet.
Right.
But is that a common question that you get is who's going to love me? When am I going to meet the one? When am I going to get a new job?
I mean, this is where for me, I just really, it was very hard for me to find my place in this community because I don't read that way. And so it was very hard for me to kind of determine who I was and how I read for people. And that took time until I just basically accepted, like, I don't read that way. So I read off of questions. So I ask you to bring in, a handful of questions. I have you send me photos. I read off of photos, and usually obviously those basic questions will be in there, but understanding it's going to start over it's going to start to the left and I'll make my way there. But the answer is not going to be, like I said, like other psychics are very good at, like, June 23rd, you're going to meet this person. They're going to look like this and have red hair and right? Yeah. And for the most part, that's just not my style. I'm more about, let's talk about where you're struggling, just where the soul is struggling.
Yeah. Do you have people that are coming to you? Like, I guess, what is the best way if somebody wanted to get in contact with you to kind of get to have maybe the spiritual teaching or to kind of help guide them into the right path for their life? How would they get in touch with you?
Through any of my socials, YouTube, Insta. I mean, Insta and TikTok, you have the direct message is fine. My email is on YouTube. And the spiritual teaching is not going to be, I start with a guided meditation. I have them give me their questions, not psychic questions, but why am I struggling with mental health right now? Like something like that. And we do a meditation, and then my guides will create a plan for them, will create something that shows them a deeper, a better way to achieve balance. And a lot of times that's, maybe you need to, it's a new therapist, it's a different medication. It can be all kinds of things. Like, I don't know, because your spirit guides are going to tell me what it is. So it's going to be different every visit.
Can you kind of figure out for yourself if you had these issues? Can you kind of self-diagnose yourself in some ways to kind of make sure you're going down the right path?
Yeah. So for me, it's, as I would tell anyone else, is I get into meditation, and I get into meditation and I stay there, and I, wait until I'm shown next steps. I don't mean that I necessarily sit there for hours on end, but you'll do a 1 or 2 hour meditation, and you'll see if you're guided towards someone or something. And if not, you wait until that guidance shows up. And yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, I suffered from COVID before the vaccine. And so I've had long COVID since then. And so it was really a matter of getting into meditation, going to the doctors, finding my doctors that could hear me, and then ultimately finding natural medicines, because the doctors don't know yet, but starting with the doctors, right? And being in meditation, I was guided to doctors that could hear me. So I wasn't battling this, we don't believe you, this is not true. I had doctors that heard me, and I had to go through a couple different ones, but I attribute that to just being in the stillness and letting that ultimately guide me to where I needed to be.
Yeah. Do you think the world is happy right now? I mean, because I feel like you're so connected to people, and it feels like people are not happy. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Not saying the world, but just like the people that you're talking with. Are people less happy than they used to be?
Yes. As far as individual people, yes, the people are struggling deeply, understandably, right? So there's a sense of, listen, when I talk about the 5 steps, when I talk about meditation, I'm not saying that that's going to fix it all. Sometimes I'll do 2 hour meditations in the morning, and within a couple hours after you've heard a couple, you turn on the news for 30 seconds or go on your phone, and you got to get back into balance. That's for all of us. There is no such thing as a quick fix. But what I am noticing is, I almost want to use the word like a revolution of people coming together. And this is what we've needed for a long time.
Maybe it's a reset that's happening, in some ways.
I think that, we're just in such a challenging time of not turning away, but also being able to understand that this is also by design, that everything is in divine order, even the most horrific and painful. And that divine order is requiring us to come together. And I feel like people are doing that.
It's actually really nice. I love that. I want to just ask you, the paranormal events thing I think is so fascinating. Can you maybe just talk about some of the things that you've worked on that are unique and kind of so different that listeners may want to hear about?
So I do a lot of work clearing homes or going into like what are considered haunted locations. I do all that remotely. I don't actually go to the physical locations. So remote viewing locations all over the world, dealing with all kinds of different energies. A lot of these paranormal locations are considered haunted, but actually there's an influx of ET energy, very dark ET energy that we find there. I think that's been a lot of fun working with some of these really, really dark energies that have to be removed, and how they react and respond to it is fascinating. And I really love doing that work. I have a page on TikTok now called Behind the Hauntings, where I read like haunted people. You know, nowadays people are grabbing like paranormal activity in their homes or on camera. And so now people are submitting me what they find, but I'll read what's going on in that photo or video. And I really love doing that because it's always something different.
What are your thoughts on people that are, and not to get too political, but are so stuck in religion, meaning like they're just so, they still think that they're going to go to hell when they die, or they're going to go to heaven, and they follow these biblical rules and stuff. What are your thoughts on society still kind of stuck in that, or some of society stuck in that still? So
fear-based security, fear-based safety, that's a safe place. If you look at something in your own life that you won't change because it feels safe, we all have it, right? So we all have it. And it's not that, so like an example would be, you have a friend who's been in a really crappy job for the last 10 years, and you're just like, get out of that job. Like you complain every day. They're scared to because it's safe for them. And what we know is safe. It creates this boundary of compartmentalizing our fear and insecurities, and it allows us to just be in that. Because if you were to go outside of that, nothing is known. It's all unknown, which is for people like us beautiful. The unknown is beautiful. It's scary, sure, right? Like starting a new school is scary, but the unknown is where people are scared to go. And so when we have religion, it's a real comfortable, safe, fear-based place that allows us to just take ownership of that and excuse us from not stepping out of it. Because if I step out of it, this God says, or this book says that this is wrong. If I step outside of it, I have something that tells me that's wrong. Versus, what if I just told you that you have your own compass, that your connection to your spirit guides is no different than mine, and that your spirit guides will guide you and show you how incredibly massive not only the world is, but the universe is, and that there's more than one solution. That's scary. That's scary, because
it is,
more than one solution could mean my husband will leave me, or I could leave my husband. Okay, that could happen. But if I'm in my religion, it says you can't leave your husband. I can't leave my this, or I can't. So that's safe. So this will always be there. Versus, for me, it's like, my husband could leave anytime. What? Okay. Yeah, it would suck. But I'd rather live in a world where that freedom in my mind is there than not there.
Yeah, makes sense. One of my last questions is I want to know if you ever take a moment and stop and really think about what a great impact you have on people and how caring you are with pets and stuff. Like, do you ever kind of self-reflect on that? Because it sounds like you've helped so many people with mental health issues, people that are scared of things going on in their life, or whatever the case may be. You're helping animals and stuff. Do you ever stop and actually think about all the people that you're helping?
No, because it's not about me. And if I were
But you should though, because I think it's amazing.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate that. I understand my skill sets and I'm grateful for them. But I also understand that my job is to inspire others. Let me say this. People are coming to me because they're already ready to change. And I'm inspiring that change. And it is not me that has created that change in them. They have created that change in them. And if I wasn't here, there would be another teacher ready for them. So what that does is empowers them and it empowers me. It reminds me of my power to inspire and direct and shift energies in people and around me. But it more importantly empowers them to understand they did it themselves. I just showed you a path and you walked it. If I allowed myself or chose to go, oh, look at all the stuff that I did, I didn't do it. I raised my vibration so that when you came to me, I could vibrate something new back to you. But by me raising my vibration, that's honoring me. That's bringing my life is so much more fulfilling now. So I'm already full. So being of service is what I'm supposed to do, as is for everybody. Everyone's job is to be of service, whether it's rescuing the gray cat that's stuck outside, whatever it is. It's all of our jobs to be of service. It's not like I'm doing anything special. I should be doing what everyone is supposed to be doing. And so I think for me, that was a big thing, because when I was growing into my skill sets, I remember just being so grateful to a teacher that they made me nervous. It was hard for me to be around them. And they were like, stop giving away your power. Stop giving away your power by behaving as if you can't be you around me. That's you. Mm-hmm. You're the one that's going to either learn how to stand in it and be able to work next to me, or you're not. Me as the teacher am not responsible for you figuring that out. And so there is this sense of, this is all on me, period, done, end of story. And if that teacher wasn't there, there'd be another teacher there to show me the way. Because if I'm ready to learn, if you're ready to learn, the teachers will show up. It doesn't matter who, they will be there.
Yeah. Well, I still think you're amazing. I think you should give yourself more credit because
I will take that. Thank you.
Yeah. You're absolutely fantastic, as everybody knows. I think that. So if you would like to learn more about Maryam and what she's doing, she has a fantastic YouTube channel. I will put it in the description of the podcast, the link to it, and her Instagram. And then there's a couple of other pages that you have on YouTube and Instagram, or YouTube, you said, right? About, you can send those to me and I'll put those also into the description.
Perfect. I would love that.
Go in and send her a message on TikTok. Oh, and her TikTok channel is fantastic. So I would definitely put that in there. But she's got some great videos on TikTok and a pretty good following as well. So check her out and send her a DM and tell her what you think. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for being on. Like I said, I think you're amazing. And I was so looking forward to this interview.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.